Okay, folks, welcome into a special episode of I've Got a Theory. My guest today is Jordan Mantel, and he is my social media manager. Yeah, you're my social media manager for Cal Home Co. and for me personally and everything that I put out in terms of content. So, Jordan, thank you for coming with us because you have another career as well. You're also a speech therapist, and that's what you're trained to do.
Yeah, so I'm a speech language pathologist. That's my day job. I run social media pages as well. And then I also have my own resume writing business. So do a few different things for sure.
Wow, so quite the entrepreneur. But we're not here to talk about any of those things because you do have a theory to share, and I want to know more about it. Tell me your theory, Jordan.
Absolutely. So, it could be viewed as a little generic, but I feel like it's one that's really important. And that's that human perspective drives human performance. And that can mean a lot of different things in your daily life, from anywhere from your personal life to, your career and your aspirations. But essentially, your mindset is everything. And I know there's books and research and stuff behind this, but for me, and I think for a lot of successful people, there are a lot of external things that could probably shape you in a negative way if you allow it to. But if you don't become embedded so closely with recency bias, you're able to expand your horizons and really fulfill your potential in ways that you really never thought you could.
Okay. Do you have any more specifics on that, or an example or an anecdote that you could share?
Yeah. So for me, growing up, I grew up in a house where education was very, very important. And, kind of getting that 9-to-5 job, getting a bachelor's, getting a master's, getting great grades, that was always the most important thing. And that's a little bit how I was conditioned to think that way. So, I kind of thought making 70 or 80K, getting a degree, saving some money in a retirement fund and having fun in my life was, that's what it was going to be for me. And that's because the perspective that I grew up in and that I was so used to drove that mindset. But until I was able to really venture out and kind of explore new things, I really didn't know a lot of the things that were available to me. And once I started educating myself and seeing those results, it really felt like a whole new world kind of opened up. And I know the same thing for a lot of my friends too. Just trying new things, being open, not necessarily being so involved on one thing, and just seeing different perspectives and taking it all in to make your own educated decisions.
Well, I think also what you're doing is you're expanding the threshold of what you know is possible, right? So that's what I think is important about your thing is you're telling us that perspective, but you may know rock bottom and might know the heights of success, but this might be your perspective on success. Whereas actually the limit could be another mile down the road that way of what's possible. It's funny because just yesterday, I was explaining this same concept to my son, and I think this is before I read what you were saying that you're going to talk about in terms of what's possible in terms of how good you can be at something. And I mentioned this in a video I recorded earlier today, so you're going to see this, is basically we're talking about Rocket League. My son's only 5.5 years old, but he's been playing Rocket League with me for a few months, and he's got most of the controls down and the mechanics, and he understands the basics of defense and centering the ball. And I've been playing for a couple of years and I'm okay, I'm okay. And I thought I was good because I'll play online. I do okay. But then I looked at some pro videos, and I don't know if you know this, but like pro Rocket Leaguers make anywhere from $1 to $10 to $60,000 a month. And that excludes gift purses and tournament prizes as well. There are several millionaires that play this Rocket League video game and are millionaires, and they just play it as a professional video gamers. So I pulled up some YouTube videos of some of the top performers there, and they're doing things that I did not know possible, showing me tricks that I didn't know possible. And so I was showing my son, I was like, look, this is just to show you that even if we think we're good at this, let me just expand our perspective to include what's great and what's top level, because now we know our good isn't even a tenth as good as these people that are great. And so now we can strive for that. Now we've picked up some moves. We watched a couple of episodes on tips and tricks to get better at our skill so we can show what's possible. But I think it leads to your point, is that it came from our perspective that we were only playing with each other and didn't realize how good someone could really be at this game or at life or at business or at whatever else you put it to, right?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. So two kind of personal anecdotes. First one is my best friend, he played football at Brigham Young. He was a receiver there a couple years ago. Well, actually back in 2015, 2016. He was a 5-star recruit from Grossmont College, started at Valhalla High School. And, in high school, he's kind of deemed as too skinny, tall, shaky hands, couldn't run routes great, whatever the case may be. kind of blew up a little bit, went to Grossmont, ended up at BYU, and balled out at BYU. We all thought he was going to get drafted. He gets to the Raiders minicamp, and he gets humbled because the jump from college DBs to now all of a sudden you're facing Garyon Conley, a first-round pick from Ohio State, lining up across from you, who has an insane reach like you've never seen, is massive. So he didn't end up making it to the league, but just kind of keep it in perspective, like, okay, I made it to college, but it really doesn't mean much because the guys that are in the pros, it doesn't even compare to how good they are compared to me. And then essentially with me as well, I've helped a lot of people get a lot of great jobs with resume writing. And I feel like I'm a pretty good resume writer. But after delving into some of these deeper workshops and certified professional resume writers that are charging $1,000, $2,000 a resume for executive resumes, I'm nothing compared to them. I'm minuscule compared to them. But like you said, when you have that mindset of, hey, this is the standard, you're always going to want to improve to get to that. And so kind of surrounding yourself who are better than you is always a recipe for success.
Yeah. Well, and there's a caveat with this, right? I mean, there's two parts of it. Is one is be satisfied and accepting of your place and where you're at. But at the same point, you should be having a certain amount of healthy hungriness towards achieving more, right? I mean, it should be everyone's hopeful potential, because complacency can be bad, but you don't always want to be like miserable that you're not top. You're not the top 1% or top number one at whatever you're at, because it is competitive out there. And there's a lot of people that are fighting for that rare air. The best you could do is work hard, put your head down and learn more and learn what's possible in your field or what you're trying to achieve greatness at, and go for it. Right. But you have to know that you might not be there yet. Right. Same with me in Rocket League. I thought I was good until I saw someone that was really good. And then I was like, okay, get it. People are really good at this thing.
Sure, absolutely. And I'm sure with you too, I know you're highly viewed in the real estate community, but I'm sure there's people you look up to as well. People you're like, oh, I want to be like that person. I want to be like this broker. I want to be doing this many projects a month. So there's always opportunity to improve.
Right, 100%. And now is the time to really double down on that, because if there's not a lot of velocity going on in real estate because everyone's frozen or wants to see what happens, it's a good time to double down on your network and call and connect with people that are better than you at your job or better than me at my job. See what they're doing, what they're expecting, how they expect the market to change, how they're talking to their clients, what they could do to be prepared for the next shift in the market, and those kind of things that are important. But I'm always trying to increase my perspective, right? And now I know that here's where my world lives in, but if I can make that a little bit wider, then I can encompass more and not be surprised by the next thing that happens. Obviously, this type of thing kind of took everyone by surprise, even though it was on our radar from the first time SARS hit in 2005, from the first time the Spanish flu hit in 1928, from the first time any kind of plague hit historically. We've known this has happened, but no one ever thinks it's going to happen to them and out of the blue like this. But now it's shifted our perspective of what's possible.
Sure, absolutely. And I think in some senses, kind of with everything that's going on right now, we're getting a sense of maybe what might be our new norm in society a little bit. And I think you get to see people's true character when true adversity hits, right? Like when stuff really hits the fan, how are you going to react? Are you going to wake up in the morning and say, oh, well, I got laid off from my job. I'm going to file for unemployment and I'll just wait until, COVID-19 passes by? Or are you going to start researching side hustles, start making extra income, and maybe you don't even have to file for unemployment? Or maybe, there's certain businesses that do rely on clients to bring in revenue, but it's all about your perspective. And I know I've learned a lot from you just from watching your videos as well. But in a sense, you train your mind to be able to withstand any sort of situation that comes your way. Anything that pops up, you're able to wake up in the morning and be like, all right, I'm gonna figure it out. No big deal.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's exactly right. You have to know that you can overcome that adversity. And as I mentioned in my video and that you've seen, I spent a whole day stressing. And then the next 15 days, and I was like, I'm just going to double down and work, because all I can do is work hard, figure it out, get to the next stage, because me sitting here in a hole stressing about it isn't going to help. So let me shift my perspective to success again and go right back to it.
Absolutely. And I'm sure in 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, you guys, Cal and Co, you're going to look back at, the whole COVID-19 phase and be like, wow, we took this, and this from this, and look where we are now.
Yeah.
And who knows, without this whole thing that happened, maybe we wouldn't have gotten there.
Right. This could be a trigger for a lot of people. In one of our other earlier shows, one of the success coaches, Lucas Barra, says that he's like, more successful people are going to come out of this than you can imagine, which is true because we're looking at something that's difficult. And I'm not looking at adversity and saying, okay, great, I'm going to sell personal protective gear at a premium. But there are other business opportunities that are popping up that are honorable and right and can serve people as well as serve a market need, and you can get paid on it, right? That's kind of
Yeah.
the goal.
Absolutely. And I think too, some people that have that kind of advanced mindset to be able to take on whatever they can, when they face situations like this, they thrive in adversity, right? Like I know for me, it forces me, even if I don't want to, it forces me to devise solutions, to come up with different things, whether it's to make money or expand my network or help my family in different ways or improve my health, whatever the case is. You're kind of forced into this survival of the fittest mode to
Yeah.
where you start uncovering things that you didn't even know were possible or ideas that never even ran through your mind.
Yeah, it's incredible, huh? So we'll see some interesting stuff in the next few months and next year, and see what kind of incredible stories that are going to come out of it. Right? We're hearing all kinds of creative solutions already to these problems, and we're doing one right now. Ideally, I'd be doing this face to face with you, but because of our situation, we've got to trust that Zoom isn't hacking our information, and we're able to record a podcast this way that we can share with people and maybe get them to think a little bit more creatively about their situation, shift their perspective, realize that greater things are possible if they choose to pursue that.
Sure, absolutely. And I think for me too, as an SLP during my day job, just now today we started training on distance learning. And if you told me 6 months ago that I was going to have to treat mod and mod severe kids with disabilities on their communication skills over Skype or over Zoom, I would have been like, I really have no idea how that's possible. But because this situation has forced us into that, the district has come up with processes and new training programs. And now in 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to be conducting online speech therapy, with kids to improve their communication. So it's wild.
Wow. Yeah, it's great to hear. I mean, everyone's at home, and so we got to figure out a new way to do it. And this is becoming a new type of normal. So I might be bowing or namasteing people instead of high fives and handshakes and hugs, right? I mean, this is all part of it. But I don't know. We're gonna have to form a new etiquette for how to sign off on video chats like this. I always kind of do the wave, but it's a little hokey. But at the
Maybe
same point,
the salute or something.
yeah, we'll throw up some deuces, something. See you later. But on that note, Jordan, that's our time. I appreciate having you on my show. Thank you for joining me on I've Got a Theory with Jordan Mantel. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks for having me.